commonly assumed that whatever survives after death is immaterial, and that certainly contradicts the evidence. The evidence is that there's some kind of material, whatever it is, that's surviving after death. Now, in Buddhism, you have, in the classic Buddhist text, you have the idea of what they call a manomaya kaya, and that means a mind-made body, and it's described as being drawn out of the body like a sword is drawn out of its sheath, out of its scabbard, yeah? Or like a reed is drawn out of another one reed, you would draw it out of another reed. So the mind-made body is drawn out of this body, and it's described as being sabbanga pachangang, which means it's possessed of all its limbs, right? And it's ahin indriyang, means it's not lacking any faculty, so all of its senses are complete. Okay, and that's actually a remarkably accurate description of what these people who have near-death experiences actually describe. What they experience some kind of body, right? It's some kind of physical thing, but maybe like an energetic or something thing, how you describe it. It has all its limbs, right? So they describe, it's not just a sort of a sphere or something like that. It actually has limbs and is shaped like the body, and it has all its senses intact. So hearing is intact, vision is intact, and so on and so forth. So that description of the mind-made body, as found in the Buddhist texts, is in fact a very accurate and straightforward description of the experiences that people have near-death experiences and other out-of-body experiences and so on, what they describe. Okay? And so that's, from a Buddhist point of view, that's what I mean again by stopping short with the evidence, yeah? Or, I'm not saying stopping short with it, I'm saying you can't reflect on it and so on, but just not going too far away from the evidential base, okay? So if we can then say, well, seems to be, if we can accept that hypothesis, and it seems to be that there's some kind of, let's call it an energy body or a subtle body, well, what kind of energy is involved, right? So Buddhism doesn't tell us that. The Buddhist texts aren't clear in saying, well, it's, defining what kind of thing is involved, what is the process, all of those things are not defined for us in too much detail, although there are some details found, especially in the Tibetan and Chinese texts. But in the classic sort of out-of-body experience or near-death experience, the first thing that they notice is that the feeling of rising out of the body. Right? So you sort of rise out and you look down, and people are usually surprised. They see themselves lying down there on the operating table. Yeah? And they can see, yeah, and so on. So there's that physical dimension. The first thing that becomes apparent is the physical dimension, which of course is what in Buddhism we call rupa khandha. Okay, it's the first of the five aggregates, it's the aggregate of form. Now, rupa khandha is often explained as being the physical body, right? So often we say rupa just means the body, but actually it's much more subtle than that. Right? What rupa means is essentially any kind of physical phenomena which is perceivable by the mind, right, fits into the rupa khandha. So not just the body, but also any sense object, anything which you see, hear, smell, taste, touch. These also are rupas, but also things which are derived from those which are experienced in the mind are also rupa. So, for example, if you recollect an image of your home, that image in your mind is also rupa. It comes under the rupa khandha. So rupa khandha is very broad and much more subtle than our idea of matter is from a Western perspective. So that kind of energy body or mind-made body that has been described would fall under what we call the rupa khandha